and playing the game of entrepreneurship in the last several years and watching other entrepreneurs also play the game, I've noticed a few things that these strategic players in entrepreneurship have in common. They have a universal understanding of. And if you plan on being a successful entrepreneur, or if you plan on thriving in this marketplace, and if you plan on your business succeeding or going anywhere, I believe that you should also get a grasp of these fundamental concepts that these strategic players live by, which causes them or gives them the ability to succeed in this entrepreneur arena, right? And the reason I say that these concepts give these entrepreneurs the ability to succeed is because they have become better players in the game. And you know them because they are better players in the game. Otherwise, you would not know their name as entrepreneurs. You know them because they're able to play the game of entrepreneurship very well. So I believe it's very vital for you to learn these key concepts. Yes, sir. You can sit down. Yes, sir. And one of these key concepts that a strategic plan entrepreneur understands is that people don't buy products, they buy solutions. People don't buy products, they buy the outcome. People don't buy products, they buy the result that they're going to get from the products. People do not buy products, they buy the end result. They buy the transformation. They buy what the product's going to do for them. A strategic plain entrepreneur knows that. That's why they don't think about selling products. A strategic plain entrepreneur, they don't think about selling products. They think about selling solutions because they know that the only thing people buy is solutions. They buy the payoff. They buy what they're going to get from you. They don't buy the product. They've never seen the product. They don't actually know what the product could do for them. They never held the product in their hand. The only thing they are buying is the solution that you say your product promises. That's the only thing they're buying. They're not buying anything else. And if your product is not promising that solution, or if your product is not fulfilling the solution that it promised, they never buy your product again. But the only thing people buy before they physically see, touch, get a hold of is the outcome, is the transformation that you say your product is going to bring about. That's what they buy. They don't buy anything else. And entrepreneurs who play this game in a strategic way understands that the only reason people buy what you're selling is because they're buying a solution to their problem. See, I don't know if any of us get it yet, but the only way to solve a problem is to throw money at it. If your AC goes out, you got to either fix it yourself, but that still involves you going to get the cost of the parts and then taking time and doing the labor, or you pay somebody to fix it. If you don't know how to design a logo, then you got to pay somebody to do that. Whatever it is, whatever. If you want to get rid of blemishes on your face, if you're you got to buy products to do that. Whatever it is, whatever problem you have, it takes money to solve it. That's all I'm saying. And when you understand that it takes money to solve your problem as an entrepreneur, then you look at it from the standpoint of the customer. Strategic entrepreneurs think about the customer first. They don't think about the product first. See, the mistake we make is that most people think about the product first. See, most people see other entrepreneurs online and they see them selling whatever they're selling, t-shirts, they're selling makeup, they're selling courses, whatever they're selling, right? And most entrepreneurs see this and then they go and copy what they saw and don't even understand the problem that they're even solving. See, most of us just go get products and don't even understand that that product should be solving the problem. Or we don't even understand that there's a problem in the first place that needs to be solved. We just go and buy product because we think it's the cool thing to do. And then we think business is not for everybody when we fail at it because we didn't even understand the first fundamental concept of business is that business was created to solve problems. It was created to make life easier. Businesses were created to make life more convenient. Businesses are created to solve problems. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're not solving problems, you won't be an entrepreneur too long. I promise you that. The whole goal is to solve problems. So the first thing you should be thinking about is not the product you're going to sell. No, it's the problem you're going to find a solution for. What's the solution? What field are you in? Is there a solution? What problems do they have? What problems do they have in the field that you want to jump into? What's the problem? Because then when you find that problem out, then you go and create a product around solving the problem. Because people want their problems solved. And then after you create the product that solves the problem, the only thing you do is advertise the solution, advertise the outcome, advertise the end result. See, people don't care about the features and benefits of your product. Why? Because they never seen it before again. They never held it in their hand. They don't know if it works or not. All they know is what you are saying that it does. And that's what they're paying for. They're paying for the solution. They're paying for the outcome that they're going to get from using the product. Products are nothing but tools to solve people's problems. That's it. People buy solutions. People buy outcomes. People buy transformations. They don't buy just the product themselves. They buy what the product can do for them. That's what they buy. So after you find a problem to solve, because you got to do it for people, you can it blows my mind that people think they can just jump on a bandwagon of somebody selling something and don't even understand the problem that they're solving and think that that's going to work. That literally blows my mind. You have to find problems to solve for people and then create a product based on solving that problem. It's all about the problems that you are able to solve. I think it was the other day I was reading this story. Not even the other day, it was a while back. I was reading this story about this guy named Brian, and about these three guys. Brian, I think is his first name, and Joe. Like it was two of these friends who lived. They were two friends who were designers that shared an apartment in San Francisco, right? And these two friends who lived in San Francisco that shared these apartments were thinking about going to this conference, a design conference. And as they was thinking about going to this design conference, they thought about getting I think if I heard it correctly, they were thinking about getting a hotel themselves and not staying in their apartment. They was trying to just get a hotel close to the venue. But then as they started to Google search and look for hotels, they found out how extremely high the prices were to get a hotel for a one night stay. And then they thought about hold on, not only are they facing this problem, but there got to be a lot of people facing similar situations as them. And they thought, instead of renting a hotel for the night for us, what if instead we go ahead and go and buy our mattress, put it in our living room, and then just rent it out to people who are looking for a more affordable way to stay than just a regular hotel, and to solve the problems of these high-priced hotels. And not only that, they thought about not only that. What if we not only give them a place to stay, but we also become a host? We cook them dinner. We cook them breakfast. We be a tour guide for them. What if we do that? So they thought, like, boom, let's put it out there. So they put the idea out there. They got a couple guests to come stay. And then they thought, like, hold on. Look how easy it was just to get a couple people to agree with this ideal because of the problem we're solving. And then this is when they had the eureka moment. And then they called up their friend Nathan. I think that was his name. One of their tech savvy friends, Nathan, who knew how to build websites. And the guy built a website for them. And that website we know today is called Airbnb. It all came from a problem that two guys wanted to solve when they saw the opportunity to solve a problem for people. What was the problem? Skyrocketing hotel prices, because these hotels operate on algorithms. When they know a big conference or events coming into town, they jack up their hotel prices. And because they jack up these hotel prices, sometimes these hotels become inaffordable. They just can't afford it. So they came up with a solution. Let's offer a night to stay at half the price. And not only are we going to offer someone a nice place to stay or somewhere to stay while they're in town, we're also going to do it for half the price, but we're also going to do bread and breakfast and be a tour guide for them. And thus, the multi-billion-dollar company it is today, Airbnb. And we know them because those guys started with solving a problem first. Just solving a problem for a lot of people. That's why we know Brian and Joe and Nathan today. That's why we know Airbnb, because it was born from solving a problem. You have to solve problems. You have to start with solving problems. So if you want to be a strategic player in the marketplace, if you want to be a strategic player in entrepreneurship, you got to start with solving problems, not with selling products. And if you are selling products right now, do you even know the problem you're solving for people? Because if you don't know the problem you're solving, there's no way you can translate it to them, because you don't know. What problem does your product currently solve for people? If you don't know that, if I were you, that's something I would go and find out, like yesterday. Go find out. And then you advertise your solution again. But let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Another thing a strategic plan entrepreneur understands is that in order to achieve anything, you have to start. Let me say it again. A strategic plan entrepreneur knows that in order to achieve anything in life, you have to start. If you don't ever start, then nothing can be achieved. See, a strategic plan entrepreneur knows that once they come up with the problem, once they have located the problem and they have created a strategic plan entrepreneur knows that once they have located the problem, they start trying to solve it immediately. Let me say it again. A strategic plan entrepreneur understands that once he or she has located the problem, the goal is to start immediately. Why is that? It's because so many of us think that we got to have it all figured out before we jump and try to start something. We got to think we got to have this figured out. We got to know about this system. We got to know about that. We got to know about this. We got to figure out how to do it this way. And we try to figure out all these things, and we never actually get to doing anything because we scare ourselves into believing that it's too much instead of just starting, instead of just jumping into the pool. Sometimes you just got to jump, and you'll figure out how to earn the wrinkles out later. Listen, everything, just so you know, everything starts in chaos. And chaos just means without order. Anything that does not have order is in chaos. And since every business is going to start in chaos, It's your job to figure out how to put it in order. But the only way that you can put it into order is to figure out what don't work. And the only way you can figure out what don't work is to actually start. You're not going to figure this out any other way. That's why strategic plan entrepreneurs know that you just got to start. Anything that you want to do or accomplish in life, you got to start it immediately after you come up with the concept. Why? So that you don't talk yourself out of doing it. That's why. Start immediately. Just think about if Brian and Joe and Nathan had to think about all the hurdles that they had to overcome before they started Airbnb, I promise you, they would have never started it. They would have never started it because of all the hurdles they would have to jump through in order to make it happen. You cannot think about how it's going to work. Just start. And I promise you, you're a human being. Guess what you'll do? You'll figure it out. You know why you'll figure it out? Because you have the ability to think. And if you have the ability to think, you will figure it out. I promise you, you'll figure it out. But the goal is to start. You got to start. Don't allow your mind to continue to talk you out of things. You got to start. What is it going to be like? I don't know. Nobody knows. But you got to start. And guess what? Let me just tell you this. So many people are scared to fail. And failure is the only thing that makes us better. They've taught us that failure is bad, when it's actually the greatest thing that mankind could ever have. Because we wouldn't know how to do things right unless we did it wrong. Right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this thing really works, but I just know in order to know how something works, you got to start doing it. And when you start doing it, if you're going to do it a certain way, at a certain way it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And when you do it in a way that don't work, you understand the ways that it don't work. So you don't do it no more. You do it another way. Right? I mean, I'm not the smartest guy, but I know that you got to start in order to move the needle. I know you got to start in order to bring what's in the spiritual realm into reality. I know you got to start to bring your imagination to reality. I promise you, you're not going to bring it to reality, continue to think about it and try to figure everything out first. Because I can tell you one thing, I can promise you, you're not going to figure it out. No one ever has it all figured out. No entrepreneur who has ever started. You will not be able to ask one entrepreneur who's ever started a business that became very successful, did they have it all figured out? Because I promise you, they're going to tell you one thing. They did not have it all figured out. Only thing they did was just start. You got to start and you'll figure it out. Don't worry about other people's approval. You don't need people's approval. Because I can promise you one thing. The people who know you, they're not going to approve. They don't know the potential that you hold inside you. They don't know the dreams. They don't know the aspirations that you have that's beating in you and how you hate every moment of where you are. They don't know. They don't know what you are truly capable of. I mean, they really don't know. Of course, they're going to criticize you and tell you that you can't do it. But the good thing is, a real strategic plan entrepreneur knows that they don't need anyone's approval. The only approval they need is their own. That they're going to make it happen. Because why? They did the hardest thing other people wouldn't do. And what's that? They started. That's the hardest thing most people don't do. They don't start. They don't start. You got to start. And you don't got to care about people's approval or wait till everything's smooth. I promise you, if Brian and Joe waited till everything was smooth, if you think if they asked their landlord or the apartment people or whoever the complex manager or property manager was, if they could rent out the rooms in their apartment and make money, do you think those people would have said yes? Do you think Airbnb would exist now? No, it would not have exist. Do you think these hotels just allowed Airbnb to come out and start undercutting its profits and taking away from its profit? You think these hotels just let them just Airbnb become their competitor overnight and not try to stop it? I promise you they did. They got thousands upon thousands of lawsuits. But guess what? Because they're fixing people's problems, that's why they still exist. They're not just selling a product. They're selling solutions to problems that hotels are not currently solving. That's why, Brian, that's why we know Brian and Joe, or the world knows Brian and Joe. And now you know Brian and Joe because I just told you about Brian, Joe, and Nathan. They didn't wait to start. They started. They didn't ask for permission. They just started. See, we live in a day and age where we think we need people's permission to start. Listen to me. If you're an artist, you don't need a record label. You don't need a record label to sign you. Just start posting your music and putting yourself out there. You don't need a record label. I promise you. And if you're an author and you want to write a book, you don't need a publisher. If you want to create a movie, if you want to be, you don't need, there's gatekeepers are really becoming a thing of the past. Gatekeepers really don't exist anymore. Yeah, it's probably about 50 years ago they held the keys, but now you have direct access to the public. You literally have direct access to the public. And since you have direct access to the public, you don't need a middleman to give you a mass audience. You can actually create a large audience of your own by actually posting and being consistent with your content and putting yourself out there. If your music solves problems for people, if it takes them away, I promise you, you're going to get big. Whatever you do, if it solves problems for people, start it right away. Don't wait. You don't need permission. You don't need permission to do much of anything no more. Again, because you have direct access to people. There's 8 billion people. Did you know India and Africa are just now coming online? That's another few billion people. You need a few billion opportunities. I hope you're not just thinking about the US anymore. We're operating in a global playing field. You can help anybody, anywhere, worldwide. Literally. And the last thing is that most strategic planning entrepreneurs don't let fear hold them back. They don't let fear hold them back because they know that fear affects their vision of the future. Fear don't let you see the future. Fear stops you from seeing what can be. Fear stops you from seeing what you want in a state of currently not having it. Fear stops you from seeing that. See, when you are caught up in fear, it does not allow you to see anything else other than it going wrong. Because otherwise, you couldn't fear it if you didn't fear it going wrong. If you didn't fear it not working, you couldn't. Then there would be no reason for fear. Fear, right? If you couldn't fear it not working, if the only thing you knew that it could do was work for you, then you wouldn't worry about it not working. You wouldn't think about it not working because you would know that it's going to work. I think it was. I think it's in the Bible. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Don't quote, don't hold me to that, but I think it's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. In the Bible, it says that God does not give us a spirit of fear, but he gives us a spirit of, that he has not given us a spirit of, matter of fact, let me slow down before I go any farther with that. It says that God has not given us, it's telling us something that God has not given to us. It says that God has not given to us a spirit of fear. I want you to stop and think about that. The creator of all creation said that he did not place in us a spirit to fear. So when you operate, so that means if he didn't place in you the spirit of fear, then fear is not natural. And if it's not natural, that means it's abnormal. So for you to think about it not working and for you to worry about it not working, it's not natural. That's unnatural. When you're afraid of something, when you're scared that it's not going to work, when you're scared about how people's going to judge you, when you're scared about putting yourself out there, that's not natural. That's abnormal. The Creator said he hasn't given you that spirit. So when you're feeling that spirit, it does not come from the Creator because he didn't give you a spirit to fear. He didn't give you a spirit to be intimidated by anything. He didn't give you the spirit to be worried. But instead, it tells us that he gave us, instead of a spirit of fear, but of power. But of power. And the word power means the ability to get results. So hold on. So what are you saying to me, Donnie? Is that the Creator, the God of us all, didn't place in us a spirit of fear, but he placed in us a spirit to get the job done? He placed in us the ability to get the results toward anything we want to do? And we sitting here worried about things not working? When the Creator himself told you that if you go and start and do it, it will work. It will work. He said, well, why would it work? Because he's giving you the spirit to make sure it works. He's giving you the spirit to get results. He's giving you the ability to get results. He didn't give you the ability to be scared or intimidated by your circumstances. He didn't give you the ability to be scared and intimidated by how people are going to think about you. He didn't give you that ability. No, he said he gave you the power and the ability, meaning the ability to get results, to get the job done. And when strategic playing entrepreneurs understand that, they understand that there's nothing they can't accomplish. Why? Because they can never fail. We look at failure as a bad thing. No, failure only teaches us how things don't work. That way we learn how to do it right so that it works. If your business is not working right now, that's because it's working on you. But the Creator says it's going to work. You just ain't figured it out yet. That's why you shouldn't stop. Because if it's not working for you, then it's working on you. And if it's working on you, then let it work on you. It will eventually work. Why? Because the Creator said it will work. You don't just, literally, we got to stop thinking about how it's going to all work out. I promise you, how everything's going to work out it's going to work out. We need to stop worrying about the how. The how gets us caught up in the worry. And when you're worried about how, don't worry about how. It's going to happen. But it's only going to happen when you start worried about how it's going to happen. It's going to happen. God can easily bring somebody in your life to make it happen tomorrow. He can easily present opportunities that would change your life tonight. So what I'm saying is, don't act unnatural, because fear is unnatural. And if fear is unnatural, by you acting in it, you're being abnormal. It's time to be a strategic player and not let fear hold us back. Because fear only keeps you thinking about what won't work. Yeah, you're thinking about the future in a negative way. That's what fear is. Fear causes you to think about the future in a negative way instead of in a positive way. And you wonder why your life never gets any better. It's because you don't think it to be better. Fear is not normal. Fear is not natural. It's not something God gave us. So with that being said, I hope you have enjoyed this and learning to become a strategic player through understanding those three concepts that I just gave you. My time's up, so make sure y'all subscribe and don't forget to hit that like button, and please don't forget to subscribe if you like this content. Until then, I'm Malski like Skimbowski.